Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of the Tour Podcast. I am Austin Dahlquist, and I'm joined here today by my great friend, groomsman, college teammate, overall legend, Kyle Levermore. Kyle, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful. It's a beautiful day in Columbia, Missouri, and we've just been yapping away all day, so we figured we could record something.
Yeah, why are we in Columbia, Missouri right now?
I live here. You're just here because I paid you to be here.
And why? What are you doing here in Columbia?
I am 3 weeks into my third season as the head distance coach here at Mizzou. Just wrapped up preseason, and this has become my new home over the last few years.
Let's go. That's awesome. We'll get to that, but yeah, we should probably back up. We should give the listeners some details about your life, how you got here, fun stories and successes and failures along the way. And yeah, Kyle and I'll intro him and then yeah, we can go back farther from when we knew each other. So Kyle and I knew each other before he transferred to Arkansas, but then he did his first 2 years at University of Oregon, transferred to Arkansas, and we quickly became great friends, training partners, and just struck a great relationship and saw a lot of highs and lows together personally and on the team, and just continue to stay in touch past it as we when our paths went across the country from each other, and I got the opportunity to come this weekend to hopefully share some insight with the Mizzou cross country team. And as some people may know that are listening, like, my journey hasn't exactly been sunshine and rainbows, but really motivated to hopefully pass knowledge on to people that they don't make the same mistakes that I did. And so, Kyle and I are friends for life for sure. One of my groomsmen 3 years ago last week.
That is crazy. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That feels like last week.
Oh man, and
hey,
yeah,
Kara, if you're watching.
yeah, and it really doesn't feel like doesn't feel like 6 years ago that we were in Europe, but a lot has happened. A lifetime has happened, and so we'll definitely get into talking about that. But Kyle, go ahead and just introduce yourself, to the listener, and start as early as you want, and maybe tell us a little about yourself and kind of how you ended up in Columbia, Missouri.
Oh gosh, how did I end up in Columbia, Missouri? I was trying to figure that one out. So I grew up in New Jersey and had a lot of good success on the track as a high schooler, and got the opportunity out of high school to run for the University of Oregon, and went there for 2 years, and I think the funny part, or the maybe like semi-ironic part, is I think we knew each other, we knew of each other since we were probably 17 years old,
at least
17 years old, and kind of competing at the same level in different parts of the country. And then our college journey actually took similar paths out of high school. We visited a lot of the same schools, and I kind of knew who Austin was, and we then ended up, after my 2 years at Oregon, I felt like I needed a change, and I think that was a really formative time in my life, just as a person, but felt like I needed a change, and Arkansas was everything I ever dreamed of in a program. And from a teammates perspective, I mean, man, we had like something really, really special with the guys that we got to share those years with. And I was really lucky to spend 3 years at Arkansas, and I think our friendship was very much, running was a part of it, but it was never like where we became friends. But I think, when I finished college, and probably one of our common interests outside of running was kind of both of our shared interest in like kind of the marketing and business space, and something we probably talked a lot on runs and ideas and stuff, just like as we were both, undergrads. But I thought coming out of college I was going to go the sports marketing type route, and thought I wanted to kind of work in media, and did a lot in college that direction. And my fifth year, I had the opportunity to intern. In between my senior and fifth year, I had the opportunity to go up to Flagstaff, and I worked with Ben Rosario at Hoka. And it's funny because I got that internship basically by like pitching myself and being like, I know y'all have had interns in the past, and I'm really looking for an opportunity this summer. And Ben was like, that's awesome, but I really don't want coaching interns. And I was like, cool. I really don't have an interest in coaching. I actually, my undergrad degree is, I'm almost finished with a bachelor's in advertising, and really enjoy the sports marketing space. And like, I'll come work for you for the summer, like if you can find me some housing. And so I moved to Flag that summer, and that, I think that was like kind of eye opening for me, because the way that our days went when I was working with Ben and Hoka at the time, I would kind of just like ride along with him in the morning for practice. And I did a lot of my easy runs that summer when they didn't have workouts. I would just kind of run with them at practice. And then Ben and I would meet at a coffee shop in Flagstaff, and we'd work all afternoon on the brand side. And I think
Cool.
it kind of opened my eyes to like how much joy like I found in, or I thought I could find in coaching. And it ultimately, that summer, I left that summer um, kind of having a moment with myself of being like, stop being scared of coaching. It's something you've always been interested in. But I think I realized that summer that I was using kind of my academic pursuit in college and kind of what I studied in college as a way to stay connected to the sport long term. But I was scared of like kind of the financial implications of getting started in coaching.
Yeah.
And I was really worried about like, am I going to is this even possible? Like, you don't make a lot of money when you first start coaching. Like, how am I going to support myself? And I kind of thought that like being in marketing was like my way to like have a real career. But it was a reality check for with me to be like, hey, there's actually this thing you really love, and like you're really like excited and interested in, like, give it a go. And so I went through my fifth year, didn't really think about much, and had the opportunity to work at Georgetown University coming out of undergrad, and joined that staff as a graduate assistant my first year coaching. And was really fortunate that involved getting a master's degree in sports management and marketing from that university, and then stayed on staff there, and was in DC for 4 years. And this job opened kind of early 2023, and I was like, man, I've heard really good things about Columbia. I'd never been here, and
Shout out
obviously,
Tom George.
yeah, shout out the Georgias. That's why I knew good things about Columbia, and had always heard like Mizzou's got potential. They've got history, and just kind of I threw my hat in the ring. I was like, I've got good experience. I've got somewhat of a reputation of being a good recruiter, and I think I can really help you guys. And I was given that opportunity, and came with a couple twists and turns early on in those first month working here. I was actually hired as an assistant with a former head coach, and that coach decided to depart before I even ever worked with her.
Man.
And I was even given another green light of being given the opportunity to lead the groups here, and become the head distance coach, when I thought I was actually going to be the assistant for a couple more years. And I initially thought that I'd be here a couple of years as an assistant, and my next move would be to be a head coach somewhere. And that came a lot faster than I thought. And it's funny, we were when we were talking last night, for those listening, like, we were talking, Austin and I, just catching up, and I was telling him how one of our college teammates and one of our closest friends, Preston. What's up, dude? I'm gonna wave to everyone who could listen.
Yeah.
Every time I've been with Preston in July, I've some weird coaching opportunity has presented itself, and he's been there for these like kind of big moments in my coaching career. 2 summers in a row that were somewhat pivotal. But yeah, I became the head distance coach here in 2023, and I am committed to the long term of building this program. And I think that that's something that I've really, really found a lot of joy in, like the 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 craft of building something. Like, nothing good happens overnight.
Yeah.
Nothing sticks. Nothing that's going to stick is going to happen in one day or one season or anything. And we're 3 seasons in here, and man, it just every year is a different challenge, a different story. But I really love the process, and the big moments come. But I really enjoy the day to day and just having a blast here. And like, we are already building something special. But I think like I don't really see like a timeline here. I see myself like the more time you put in, the more care you give something, the more attention you give something, like it becomes what you nurture it to be. And so I'm just really, really fortunate that I was given the opportunity here a couple of years ago. Yeah, just I didn't know that I'd live in a college town again, or move back to a place similar to Fayetteville, and but I've really found a home here and a lot of familiarity to what we experienced in college.
Yeah.
And the big thing, obviously, I don't know how I didn't say this, but like when this job opened, the first thing that crossed my mind was like, man, how special was it to be in this environment? I mean, I mean the SEC and the competitiveness of this league. I loved that about being an athlete. Like I thrived off of that intensity. And to get to coach in that environment again is just like the most fun thing ever, but it's also like really, really challenging.
Yeah, no, definitely. And
so that's my first ramble.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you for walking us through that. First question from that, you said you feel like you've always wanted to coach. Was there a certain time that you realized that, or do you feel like since you got into running, or where did that fire start to get stoked, do you think, to coach?
I think a little bit with my growing up in the sport. I've always had coaches that really like gave me the why behind what we were doing. And I think my high school coach in particular, Coach Kilduff, he pushed me really, really hard, but he explained to me why what we were doing was going to help me get to the next level. And so I think I was fortunate in that I had people that like really taught me, I think, without teaching me like the art of coaching, and why he was pushing me in certain ways. And like he would get on me really, really hard, but after he got on me, like whether it was the next day or a couple hours later or whatever, like he would always sit me down and be like, I was hard on you because of this, and you needed to hear this because of this. And I think it just like instilled like a thought process in me when I was younger. And as I got older, like I've always been a fan of the sport as much as I've been a student of the sport. Like I love this sport as like just as I care about it. And I think having that background helped me like kind of understand kind of like the basis of what coaching, like what coaches are trying to get out of their athletes. And then I think I don't know that I like had a moment where I really liked it, but I think I was drawn to the opportunity to make a difference in a meaningful way. And I'm not like a desk person. I've had one desk job in my life. In my early coaching days, I had a full-time marketing job as well. And I was doing both. And like, I look forward to practice every day, but like that year and a half that I had, or maybe it was in 2 years, that I had a full-time job in marketing, like I dreaded having to open my email within like 3 months of having that type of job. And so I think like that was a little bit of validation too, long-term, that this is what like I really love to do.
Yeah. It's awesome.
But I don't know that I have like there wasn't one thing. I think it was just, I knew that it was an interest of mine, but I kind of pushed it away thinking it was financially too scary.
Yeah. Why is it? And from my perspective, it seems, especially from the Division I level, you kind of have to put in the time, and maybe this is just coaches in general, especially early on, you kind of have to put in the time, maybe volunteer or grad assistant, or not make a lot of money until you get a job. Like you can't just graduate and get a head coaching job somewhere. Why is that?
God, that's a whole other can of worms. But like, the short answer is like, what revenue do we generate as a sport?
Yeah.
That's the money coming into the sport is the money that's going to get put back into the sport. And I think there's been a lot of growth in our sport, a lot of investment in our sport, even with like, and again, another can of worms if we want to talk about it, the house settlement and all that stuff. It's been a big conversation in the NCAA space. But I do think that the investment has been made from athletic directors and people that they see, they do see some value in track, but at the same time, like, we don't pull in the numbers like basketball. We don't pull in numbers like football. And that's reflected in salaries and budgets and stuff like that. So it's not a, it's kind of factual and just like the nature of our sport from revenue generation in the NCAA. But I think more so like the there's also limited opportunity, and there's endless opportunity to get into coaching, but there's not there's not, how many business analysts are in the world? Like, a lot.
Yeah.
There's not that many places to be a coach.
Yeah.
And so, we're really fortunate in the US with the system we have here, like the NCAA system and the high school system, and even that. But I do think it's like, it's hard to get into because the barrier to entry involves like kind of gambling on yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily like what you're thinking. You're like, wow, I really want to like not make money when I graduate undergrad. Like, that's not what you're thinking when you're 22 or 23 years old. And so I kind of pushed it away, and I was like, don't, like, go do something else that's in sports that you'll really love. But like, why wouldn't you take the chance on it? Like, and I do think like the good thing about like the kind of grind that you have to put in as a young coach, and I'm still a young coach.
Yeah.
I'm still putting in that grind, but especially in those first 2 or 3 years, you'll figure out really quickly if this is for you or
Yeah.
not.
No, that's good. And I think you may have already answered this with my first question, but people may be listening and thinking, how did you, I guess, find that passion for it, or recognize? And yeah, you might have already kind of answered it, but I feel like a lot of people that I talk to just about pursuing something that they love to do, and that's like the mission statement behind the tour, is pursuing your goals with a rooted and hopeful mindset. And so like, you are doing something that you love to do, and even though your degree wasn't necessarily geared toward it, or yeah, even though there was a financial aspect, you still found a way to do it. But maybe there are a lot of people that are wondering where that passion comes from, and maybe it was a product of your environment. You were a really good runner, and you loved it too. You fell in love with it, and yeah, we need coaches that love the sport. We have a lot of coaches that don't love the sport and track and field and in general. But was there anything that you any like vetting process or anything that you did to like recognize like, oh, I am passionate about this, and I want to pursue it? If that question makes sense.
It does. I don't know that like I did any personal vetting. I think it was more stuff along the way. Like, I you grow up and you hear a lot of people like do something that you'll never feel like you worked a day in your life. And I actually like think I found that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have a job. Like, I joke with people, like, I've kind of had the same day. Like, my role has changed over time as I've gotten older and as I've changed like responsibilities. But like, I still kind of have the same like day-to-day schedule that I've had like a lot of my life.
Yeah.
And
Practice.
yeah, like, you wake up, you go to practice. Like, my role at practice is very different.
Yeah.
My role outside of practice is very different. But I actually don't feel like I've ever worked a day in my life. And I think that's the biggest green light I've ever had, is like, we kind of said a little bit ago, like, I have had other jobs and I've hated them.
Yeah. No,
So I think
cool.
it's actually that, where I'm like, this is the only job I've had that I like, I've never felt like I've worked a day in my life.
For sure.
And to me, that's the biggest green light. And I wake up every day really excited. And on the hard days, like, they are hard, but I'm still excited to do that. And I always tell our athletes, like, and I tell people in recruiting, like, if you choose to come to Missouri or you choose to run for any coach, like, the way I view that is that you've chosen to allow me into your life and to give me the opportunity to help you get to where you want to be. And I don't take that as like, to me, that's a privilege. Like, if you commit to our program and we've recruited you and you decide this is the place for you, like, it's a privilege for me to get the opportunity to coach you. And we recruit really, really talented kids. And like, anyone we recruit is physically good enough to be at this level. But for you to say, hey, coach, I want to run for you, like, that's a privilege for me.
Yeah.
It's a privilege for you to get to run at this level, but you've also like made your own luck to get these opportunities. But it's a privilege for me to get the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah.
Like this is your career, and you've said, hey, I think you're the guy for me to get to the next level. And to me, that like that's where it really boils down to like um what the art of coaching is. Like, yeah, the X's and O's are fun. I love writing training. I love watching people run fast. I love watching people win. But for you to give me the opportunity to be in your life and invest in you, and you give me that trust, like I take that really, really seriously. And
Yeah.
that's really ultimately like what drives me every day is like, I've got a group of people that I get the opportunity to work with that like they've chosen to allow us, I say us, myself and my other coaches, like the opportunity to help them get to the next level. And that's something that's a huge privilege for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember you sharing with me once when I asked about how it was going here, and you said, like, I'm working a ton, I'm exhausted, but I would rather be doing nothing else. And that's a really cool thing, and yeah, admirable to where you've not only you're pursuing something that you love to do, but also it didn't take you too terribly long to get there. And it feels like a lot of people are doing things they don't want or working jobs that they don't want to do because they feel like there's no way out or it's the easier thing. I think there's a lot of people that are working desk jobs that do not want to be there at all. And so I definitely think it's encouraging for people to hear that
Yeah.
you were able to find your way to it. And it's not like it's easier work. Like you're still working hard, and like being a college coach is certainly not for everyone. Like you're recruiting all the time, you're talking to people all the time, you're solving problems all the time. And so but if you love it, then
Yeah. No, it's, and I think I feel like it's something we talked about a lot, and maybe this segues into um, us talking about other random aspects of our friendship, but I think something we've talked about a lot. I remember a lot of runs where you and I talked about like doing something you love or not being afraid to take a chance, or like I have like a fear of failure, to be honest with you. Like I fear failure more than I love, like I'm driven by the fact that like I know that if I put my mind to something, like it will come to fruition. It's just I don't get to pick the timeline. I get to pick how I show up.
mm,
But I think if anything, like I hope that like people see, yeah, you're right. Like there's a lot of people that work desk jobs that they don't want, but if you don't give yourself a chance to see what can happen,
yeah,
like then why sit around and like if you're sitting there and you don't like your circumstances, like you're the only person that has control over that. And I think that that's something that um, we probably talked about a lot when we were younger.
yeah,
And not to take over host duties here, but like one of the reasons I wanted you to come down to talk to our team this, and like I'm obviously like selfishly I paid Austin to come hang out with me because we hadn't seen each other in a while, but I also more seriously, like I think you've found in a similar sense, like, and we were talking about this the other day or last night when we were catching up, but like your path with what you've done in your running career since we graduated college, and I think how I've been able to kind of take that love for the sport that I didn't really have a fire to compete anymore. I was ready to kind of step away from competing, but I wasn't ready to step away from the sport. I think we were talking about how we use that shared experience to like make a difference, and you've been able to kind of find a new rebirth in your own running, and use kind of your experience from however many years it was before. And I think for me it's been really pivotal with my coaching career. Like every place or everything I've learned, like it's all been really an important piece. But I think one of the reasons I really wanted you to come talk to the team is because you've not given up something you love, and I think you still work for the same company you interned with in
yeah,
college, and you've stayed committed to that and grown with that company. And like they were a startup in a little makeshift office when
yep.
you interned with them, and like but you've seen through both of those things without sacrificing like your life or sacrificing like your running or your job or your career. Like, and I think that to me, it's cool because I feel like we talked about this a lot when we were younger. We
Definitely.
talked about like building a life where we didn't have to give things up. We could make it happen if we figured out a way.
Yeah.
And it, to me, like it does feel a little bit like, as you get closer to 30, we're there this year. I joke a lot about being 30 because I think it's hilarious. Like, I'm 30 years old. What? But it's cool because I feel like there's a little bit of like, I look at it now and I'm like, man, like we had a lot of runs where we talked about stuff like how about like the future, and to look back and be like, yeah, we've actually kind of stuck to a lot of that and made a lot of it happen.
Yeah, it's
In a
awesome.
lot of different ways, and to me it's just like, it's cool to think about like all the stuff that came with it, but we've actually found a way to make a lot of what we talked about when we were a lot younger happen.
Yeah.
We just couldn't predict what the in between and the stuff that came with it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't pretty always, but just like you've felt committed to coaching, I certainly have continued to feel called to pursue running. And yeah, I really believe that that's where we've been like uniquely placed for this time in our life. And yeah, it's really cool and humbling to look back at the time in college to now. And I coach high school kids too. And even looking back to when I was in high school and trying to have that frame of reference for things. Oh no, we thought we put on Do Not Disturb.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. We could always edit.
Short aside while Austin fixes my notifications, it's my MBA group project that I have due.
Oh no, notifications.
Go to messages.
I
Go
think.
down to messages. And go there. And then
Just do
turn it
that.
off. Yeah.
There we
There
go.
you go. So
We can leave that in.
an aside, kind of a nice, little interlude here. I started my MBA because I needed something to take me away from coaching for a couple hours because it does get all consuming. So I apologize. I have a group project due, and instead I'm talking to my computer and you.
No, and that's, I mean, you're a high achieving individual, and I think that just speaks to your work ethic as well, and also I think just having a bit of balance, because I believe that we know people not only in our sport or just in general that have a lot of eggs in one basket, and it can be dangerous. Like, I even know Grant Fisher, one of the best runners in the world right now. He got his master's degree. He might still be doing it as we speak, but he's a professional runner, and he was just kind of sitting around a lot and probably thinking too much about his running, and decided to get another degree, which is cool. And I found a ton of value in having my job, or also coaching high school a couple times a week, or some of the other things that I get to do has kind of allowed me to still take running as serious as, I guess, healthy. Hopefully, I feel like I'm in a healthy spot with it, but also be like, okay, the morning stuff is done. Like, I'm going to do stuff during the day and then do afternoon stuff maybe, but not overanalyze my training or overanalyze how I'm feeling. Just kind of like be able to put it in its place, um, and go on from there. And so you can probably say the same with coaching, because I mean, maybe even more so with coaching, because running, such as life, is not linear. And so sometimes a kid could be totally, that they could be in a training system that is perfect for them. They could be progressing well, and then they could just have a bad day, not sleep well, or be super nervous, or something else could be going on in their life. And or they could be hurting, or something. And but as coaches, obviously me on a much smaller scale, like, it's easy to receive that and be like, oh my gosh, could I have done something better for them?
Well, I think it's like that balance, and that kind of like in between of like what you're passionate about, what your career is, what you're pursuing, like that. I think the same thing that you experience with as an athlete, of like, if you're really locked in training, like it can become consuming. Not even like the training's fine. It's like the hours after, if you don't have something to get your mind off of the training, it can be like you can hyperfixate and you can overanalyze. And it's the same thing in coaching. Like I need to step away. Like I need to have time in the day where that's for me. And like I've learned, like as I've gotten further into coaching, like in the nicest way possible, like I schedule when I'm gonna go to the gym, like in my calendar. And I'm sorry, there's nothing that like is so important that I can't take an hour for myself to go work out. Like there's not. And if
Yeah, and
it
it's
is,
healthy
like
to do that.
you can get a hold of me if it's an emergency. But like I'm also allowed to tell you I'm busy at 4 o'clock because I'm going to the gym. Like
Yeah.
that's and that's not to sound selfish. It's just like I've learned that balance is necessary. And like when I worked at Georgetown and I lived in DC, which was like it is kind of my home city. It is my home city. At this point, I really like, I had this beautiful balance of work and life, and I found this group of friends that like weren't like, some are from the running world. The running world connects you to a lot of people, but like it wasn't running related, and I was able to kind of blossom a little bit just like personally and having like a social life and a work life and having a balance. And then when I moved here, like in all seriousness, like it got really isolating. I was moving back to a college town, and I was 27 when I moved here. And that's like being 27 in a college town is weird. Like it's weird. There's not a lot of people your age. And if they are, a lot of them work at the same place as you. And it can be challenging. And I'm not married. I don't have a family. Like, and I think when I was in DC, it was like my social life, my personal life needed that like growth. And I got that work-life balance living in a city and kind of having that. And I loved it. And I still miss living in a city at our age. Like I really like, I do miss that. But I think this allowed me to slow down. And then I decided to work on my MBA because it was like, it is something that I enjoy. I do enjoy the business world. I do enjoy the marketing world. I really like, if I have another life after coaching, I want to be an agent or in sports business or in something like that. But it's something that I'm like also passionate about, that I can like set aside coaching for a couple hours and work on. And I feel like it's purposeful and it has value versus just like scrolling my phone or rotting or like
Yeah.
watching TV. Like I believe me, I can rot with the best of them and I can scroll my phone with the best of them. And if you are one of our college teammates or you knew me in college, Austin gave me such a hard time because I would come in the locker room after runs and I would roll, but then halfway through rolling, I would be laying on the roller scrolling my phone.
Yeah.
And it would be my pillow, and he would always be like, dude, put it on your quad. You can roll on your quads and scroll your phone too.
Oh man, that's funny.
But no, but in all seriousness, like I needed something to feel like that wasn't related to the running world, that was something I cared about, that gave me a little bit of like me time that was value, or that had value. And
that's good.
Like going back to school is, I guess, one way to fix that. But I do like really enjoy that stuff. And I feel like it's helped me develop, a business mind, and in coaching, like that's important. As much as as much as this is people first, like coaching in the NCAA is very business oriented in a lot of ways.
For sure.
And not the way you relate with the athletes, but like you are running essentially a front office. Of any pro sports organization. So I think it provides value in my job. And
it's something else that you
but yeah, to your point, it's a way to like create balance.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think a lot of people often say, I don't have time for that, or I'm really busy. You can make time for sure.
Come on.
And that's
I shouldn't be chewing ice in a mic. Sorry, it's a really bad habit of mine. If something's important to you, make time for it, and it doesn't feel like a sacrifice.
For sure.
Like
it's easier said than done.
It is easier said than done, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like if something's important to you, you'll find a way to make time for it.
For sure. And it can be really hard at first. And yeah, I mean, I'm fully on board with, taking rest days and taking time for yourself and not being, I think my personality too feels like often I need to be productive all the time. There's so much value in not doing anything, or just resting with friends or family, or just taking a deep breath and watch a movie, all of that. But it's like if you actually took a synopsis of your day, I kind of sound like a cold plunge podcaster now, but it's like if you actually took like a a synopsis of your day, you'd be like, I probably do have a lot of wasted time here. And like I even listened to a podcast the other day where they talked about like stacking things, like doing two things at once. Like, oh, if you have a kid but you want to exercise, well, like go walking with your kid or something, or something like that, or calling a friend, like also do chores when you're doing that. And those are small examples, but I think if you are intentional, and yeah, it might not be the most fun. Like I know I've said before on this podcast, like if you feel like you're stuck in a place and you're working a job that you don't want to be, or you're doing something you don't want to do, like it it might suck for a while to take the time to also like maybe take classes for something that you want to do, or you're learning a new trade. Like we hear stories all the time about people that work full time and also go to school, but it's because they're like trying to do something that they want to do. But
I'm
and
curious because I think you like obviously you have a full time job and running is a full time job, but you balance it really well. But I think that to me it's fun to see you coaching. I think you. Sorry, I haven't been holding this close to my face at all.
no, it's good. It's a good
I
volume.
think if like I'm curious how coaching for you has like even though it's still in the running space, do you feel like that is like do you find that like the piece of coaching that is good for you is because it's in the running world, or is it because it's like the investment in people
Yeah,
that's fulfilling?
it's the investment in people for sure. And for me personally, I really love the high school age specifically. And I think, yeah, you and I might have talked about this. I don't believe maybe things could change. I don't know if I'll ever be called to the collegiate level, or even coaching pros. And I guess I do coach some people on the side too, but I really love the high school age specifically. And the head coach goes to my wife and I's church, and he needed some help with coaching the guys specifically. But the high school age is such a paramount age in all of our lives. Like we're going through puberty and kind of figuring out what we like to do, and we're growing a bunch, and there's a lot of influences coming your way from a lot of different angles, and a lot of them are bad, especially
Yeah.
media and stuff. And so anyway, if I have the opportunity to be an encouraging and joyful figure to these kids, much like I had for myself, and I know you shared, Kyle, that you had to, like, which has helped me be able to have confidence and be able to approach life the way that I have, that I've seen so much value in. And I've just heard of so many coaches, high school, collegiate, every level, that have been really mean or abusive, or really degrading toward an athlete, and that's just ruined their relationship with their sport or ruined their self-confidence. And
Mm-hmm.
as a coach, you're around the kids a lot, and sometimes even more than parents. Like, and that's only sometimes like 2-3 hours a day, but some parents are working a bunch, some parents have all this stuff going on, and so you have like this time that you get to invest in them. And so
Well, and I think it's like you never know what's going on in someone's life,
yeah,
and as a coach, if you can create an environment, it doesn't even have to be coaching. Like you could have been tutoring. You could have been doing after school pickups. Like it could be anything. But if you can create a space where people feel like they can like kind of set down their life and just do this thing that they love, or
yeah,
work on something they're passionate about, like I it yeah, it's a safe space for someone to feel free. And I think in a practice environment, you don't know what people are going home to,
yeah,
but can you
definitely,
create an environment where people feel supported and challenged, and like someone's invested in them, um and that you can have high standards in perform at a high level, whether that's running or school or whatever it is, and enjoy it,
yeah.
and create a space where people can let go of whatever the world has given them that day and just enjoy something. And I do really truly believe you can do that even in like the highest intensity sporting environments.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, and I think for me too, being an assistant is perfect for my season of life right now, because I don't have to be at every practice. I'm not able to because of my team and my training. But when I'm there with the kids, I'm almost always running with them or lifting with them. And yeah, meets are a little different. I can maybe warm up or cool down with them, but can yeah, coach them and help them. And so it's also, I'm already doing something that I was already gonna do that day.
Right.
And so then it's like, I guess the stacking thing, like, yeah, it takes a little more time to get there and spend more time at practice, but I love being able to invest in them and kind of what, yeah, we were talking about earlier. One of the primary reasons for me coming was to hopefully, yeah, share with the team my perspective on the sport and my running and a lot of mistakes that I've made. And I feel like a good direction to head. And I don't have all the answers. And yeah, I'm not a world beater in terms of runner, but I feel like I've really personally um, gotten to a much healthier place with the sport, and then also still being able to compete at a high level um, is, yeah, hopefully an encouragement for people. But I wanted to ask you, maybe this is the last question about coaching, but from one thing from your time at Oregon, from your time at Arkansas, and from your time at Georgetown, do you think that you take into you coaching at here at Mizzou?
Yeah. I also think I have to include my high school coach there,
Cool.
and my high school program.
Yeah.
But I think every coach or every staff I've worked with has laid some kind of different foundation with me. And but you know, I was really fortunate to be in a high school environment that, like, the team culture was so dang good that it showed me what it like looked like from a very young age of like 14.
It's great.
You know, when I started high school, what a true team culture looked like. And that was something that I really, really looked for when I picked college programs. And um, I was in an environment in high school that just like we expected to win and we wanted to win and we did win a lot. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of people that might say, oh, like, did that burn you out or anything like that? Like, no, it didn't. I don't feel like I was like at all at detriment because I was in a high school program that, like, frankly, the training itself, like the physical training itself, was like super super smart. Like, I take a lot of stuff from that,
Mm.
like high aerobic system. Like, didn't smash intervals in high school, but yeah, I did do like 8 mile progression runs in high school, but we didn't hammer on the track.
Yeah.
And we didn't hammer short speed work, but we did a lot of hills. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that I took from my high school that I'm like, man, we trained really, really smart, but we did have an intense environment.
Yeah.
But like, I say all that because it was the team culture that was so special to me. And when I went to Oregon, like, I really hadn't been hurt in high school, but I struggled at Oregon to stay healthy. And I think I really, what I learned at Oregon was like, even the best don't have it figured out, but the best do cross their T's and dot their I's. And I learned the importance of details at Oregon, and I learned the importance of, you know, in those days when I was injured, like, how bad did I want this? And ultimately for me, my time at Oregon, like, I developed an independence, and I had to take accountability for my running. And I learned a lot through that. And I got to be around some, like, I was a freshman when the when the fifth years were just like some really, really incredible guys. I mean, my freshman year are the fifth years on that team, like Eric Jenkins and Wilgo Hegan and Johnny Gregoric, and Ed was a sophomore, Edward Chezarek, and like, I was around really, really good older guys, and it felt detached at times because I was injured and having a hard time in the environment. But I look back and I'm like, man, I learned how to take accountability for what I wanted out of things. And that led to me transferring. And it was like, I still, like, I got to the point where I was unhappy with my like, I was unhappy in the environment. It was not the coaches. It was not, I just wasn't happy, and I needed a change because I was at the point where I was like, I'm not ready to, like, I don't want to quit running, but I don't really want to run right. Like, I don't want to run in this environment.
Mm.
Um, and when I left, um, I remember, like, and this is not shade on Oregon, but I still use paper logs here at Mizzou. One of my assistant coaches was my teammate at Oregon, Tanner Anderson, and we use paper logs just like we did at Oregon here, in same exact format. Like, I have all my training logs from Oregon in my office, but I wrote I have one of my training logs is the day I got a release back when there wasn't a transfer portal. You get a paper release. And I wrote on my log, it's the last log I have, like felt like 1,000 pounds lifted off my chest today.
Wow.
And I just needed like a new environment to reignite the love
Yeah.
for the sport and just feel like I just needed a fresh start. And I remember talking to coaches when I transferred and one of them being like, look, man, there's nothing wrong. Sometimes you just need a little bit of an environmental change to reset.
Yeah.
And that's really what I needed. And I think, when I got to Arkansas, like, man, we had the most incredible team. Like, I look back on for all the SEC titles and all the good performances that, we had as a group and we had individually. Like, I think about the team and how much I love showing up to practice every day. And, Coach Bucknam, like we've talked about it a million times, like there's nothing that he could make you like doubt. Like he could make you believe that you were capable of anything. And that coupled with how much fun we had as a team every day, like I found a love for the sport and I found this like level of belief that I knew was in me from a young age, but I needed someone like him to fire us up like he did and to have that culture that we had. Best motivator. And I think at Arkansas, we really had this, like I was telling the guys this morning, or the whole team this morning, but I've told this, I said the guys because I've told this to some of them before this morning about how, like, one of the things that, like, I am not a morning person. I never will be a morning person, and I don't pretend to be a morning person. But Austin knew that I wasn't a morning person. And I think probably like 4 days of the week when we were in college, he would text me and be like, hey, we're meeting at the locker room at this time. Like, and we being he and I, not the team. But Austin knew my class schedule and knew when I needed to run to eat breakfast to get to class. And, it was that like accountability of like being a good teammate and a good friend. And like, you knew it wasn't that I didn't want to run. It was that I just hate getting out of bed.
Yeah.
And like that
always better with
accountability as
somebody.
a friend allowed me, like, that was the culture we had. We looked out for each other and we knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. And it just, there was this belief, this belief that was just so special.
For sure.
And then, oh man, Georgetown. I learned a lot at Georgetown. I got to work with some incredible coaches that are my like close mentors of mine and friends of mine and still coaching. And Coach Baker and Coach Bonzi were like huge pieces of me learning the X's and O's of like what to look for in recruiting and how to manage different situations. And I've said this a couple times, and like I give Coach Brandon Bonzi so much credit, and I appreciate so much that he always told me why he was making the decisions he was making and gave me like responsibility and allowed me to like learn without, honestly, sometimes without a lot of instruction. Like, he sent me recruiting like 4 weeks into working at Georgetown with like nothing more than a list of names. Like, didn't tell me like, oh, this is how I normally have conversations or anything like that. Like, let me learn and gave me guidance and told me the why and pushed me on like giving, hey, why do you think this kid's good? Or why do you think this is someone we should recruit? Or what would you do in this situation? And I give him a lot of credit because it's allowed me to make decisions and feel confident in them, because I learned how to like, I learned the X's and O's. Like, I learned what you need to be looking at. And obviously you like evolve and you build your own thoughts and your own thought processes and stuff like that. But like, I'm really lucky that I got to learn from someone like him.
Yeah, that's sweet. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing those. That's super cool. Yeah, if I could just add my own, at least for the Arkansas time, that's always the rosiest thing that I'll say about it. And it wasn't, I guess it wasn't even rose-colored glasses, because maybe that sometimes can be.
I kind of got rose-colored glasses on right now.
I do, yeah. Sometimes that can be a bad term, but the culture that Bucknam established, because he never said anything negative about us, honestly, and it was always encouraging, and it was always like, hey guys, we're the best, and we can do this. And he's such a great motivator, and I don't know if I'll ever meet a better motivator. And yeah, I think a lot of that too, running for Arkansas, it had that history of being great, and so it was a privilege to put on the jersey and be a part of that history. And I think that, coupled with, it was it was great that essentially everybody got along all the time and we loved hanging out together. And sure, we had our little tiffs, or some people got annoyed with other people sometimes, but there was never crazy feuds or fights or fallouts. And we had each other's back, and everybody was just so bought in. I think because we also understood that it was just a really high privilege to run for them.
Yeah.
And that's something that, yeah, I think people can sometimes take for granted. It's just, how rare it is to run for just, I mean, even any Division I, any college. Like, to compete at the collegiate level is such like a small percentage of people. And so I just look back at it and I'm like, man, our environment was so cool. And it's a bummer to hear about a lot of environments that do not come close to that.
Yeah.
In the NCAA.
Yeah. It as you were talking, it made me kind of think of two random Arkansas anecdotes. But like the first, I think, somewhat demonstrates like our team culture. But when I came on my visit to Arkansas, I think it was between regionals and NCAAs, you were pacing a Dom Scott workout on my visit. And she was getting ready. I think she won the national title that year in the 10K.
Yeah.
And you paced her last workout before nationals.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows that. Maybe Dom.
Yeah. Shout out.
Hey, Dom.
We can clip this.
But I remember like my visit there was cool. Like you guys all showed up to the airport. There were like 4, 5, 6 of you that showed up to the airport to pick me up. I don't even know if Coach Bucknam picked me up. But I don't know if I've ever called him Coach Bucknam either.
Formality with
heritage. Yeah. But when you guys showed up to the airport to pick me up, I was like, man, like he sent the guys to pick me up. That's really cool. But the thing I was thinking about when you were talking was when I left my visit, I committed on the car ride to the airport. I was like, hey, coach, like I want to be a Razorback. But the more ironic part was Cam Griffith was flying home to Australia, and he was on the same flight from Arkansas to Denver, I think, with me, or something like that. And at the time, like I was like, I told him that I committed on the car ride to the airport, and he was like, well, I don't know if I'll see you I don't know if I'll see you before the year starts. But here's a key to our house. We have an open room. So like, just take the key and move in when you get there. You might be the first one back. And like, he gave me this key in the Denver airport. And I was like, I don't know this kid. He's flying home to Australia. I kind of just like told him I like was 90% committed, but like I needed to like still figure out, like I needed to get all the details figured out. Yeah. But he like gave me a key to the house that I then lived in for 3 years with Cam and Graham, like in the airport. And he flew home for the summer. And I was the first person to move into that house. Like no one was there when I got to Fayetteville.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That one. And then I think the other story, like a little bit less hilarious, but one of my favorite stories to tell about us as a team that I've told my team about belief and like how to get through moments together was I believe it was 2018. I think it was our true senior year. We were ranked 3rd in the country, I believe, preseason.
For and cross.
For cross.
So it's 2017. Sorry, it doesn't matter.
Oh, fall of 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was that fall. We were ranked, I think we were coming off 5th the year before in the country. And the year before before I transferred, you guys had gotten 6th. So it was 6th, 5th.
Oh.
For 3 years, 3 years of nearly being on the podium.
So many details in those stories.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff there. But I remember we went to pre-nationals in Louisville, and we were ranked really highly. We really hadn't raced that much. We raced Chili Pepper. I think that was the year we ran a 10K in September. You got hives.
Yeah, I had some
like this weird ass rash, hives, like dead in the water. I'd never seen you that like unable to do anything.
Oh my gosh, I was really sick, and then I also had a never diagnosed. It was never officially diagnosed rash, hives, whatever I had. So I had like a double whammy. Sorry, keep going.
But I'd never seen you like not able to do it. Like you could have stuff going on and you could hold it together when it came to running.
But I dropped out 1K in.
Yeah, like you were a mess. there was something else that happened.
Ryan Murphy also was really sick.
Yeah, that happened, and then I remember being like, I ran horribly that day. Like my legs were bricks from the first like 5 steps, and I was like, just survive, man. You got 20 minutes, just survive. Um, I think that was the worst race we ran as a team.
Yeah.
In the 3 years that I was on the team, and maybe you're even your 5 years.
I don't know. NCAA's my freshman year was really bad, but yes, it was bad because I think I dropped out. Somebody else, maybe somebody didn't race, and then I think like basically just Jack and Alex ran well that day.
Basically, like 2 of the 8 people on the line were like competent.
Yeah,
we were a mess, and we got like I don't know. We got like someone go look it up if you're watching. We must have gotten like 13th or 14th. And it was the pre-national meet. 2 weeks before SECs, and it's the only time that I ever saw Buck like collectively be like, what was that? And he wasn't mad. He was just like, what was that? Like, what's going on? And I remember it so vividly. He was like, get your stuff. We're getting in the vans. Like there was not a pre-race conversation, a post-race conversation. It was just, that was a mess. We know it was a mess. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And we went home, and I think it was like kind of the first time we'd, as a group, been like collectively kicked in the teeth. And I just remember the next 2 weeks going into SECs, like we were defending champions. We had a really good team. Everyone was running well. Like, every single person on the team was running well except for that day, apparently.
Yeah.
And I just remember this, like, there was a difference in practice in that 2 weeks. There was this like calmness and this, like, I remember practice being a lot more serious from us, not from Buck, not from any other reason, but it was us. Like we all knew we needed to just like, we needed to reset. And there was this like calm confidence, and we didn't speak a lot. Nothing was like, I just remember practice feeling different. And we went to Georgia 2 weeks later, and we had, it's one of my favorite stories because we had 42 points, I believe, at 1K and 43 at the finish, or we had 42 at the finish and 43 at 1K.
Yeah.
But I just remember Buck pulled out his little black book, and he made us put all our hands on it. And he was like, the training's been done. Like, believe in yourself, trust your training. And like, there was just this sense in our group that was like, we were going to murder you that day. And we did.
Yeah. That was,
but I've told that story because it was this like, no one said anything, but there was this like invisible string between all of us that I think I always felt it, but it was like very heightened.
Yeah. No, and I think it was good too, because sophomore year, or my sophomore year, I guess our sophomore year, we got 6th, and then we got 5th in 2016. That's a whole nother story, because like 2 things had to happen, or we honestly would have won that day. If just one of the 2 things didn't happen, we would have won. And so we were going into 2017, like you said, like ranked really high, and I think just kind of riding the high of the previous years of doing really well. And honestly, like I do believe that us getting kicked in the teeth was like a good way for us to kind of refocus and not think that it was going to be easy. And I think it made us able to stay focused and finish the year strong. And
there was just this like calm, cutthroat swag.
Yeah, and I remember like Alex George, I will never forget it, before that race, and he is a great friend and roommate. But he is like almost a foot shorter than me, but he is such a monster at running in general. But he like shoved me before the race, and he was like, "We do not lose SECs." And he's like a pretty quiet guy, but he like looked me in the eyes and was like, "We do not lose SECs." And there might have been an expletive in there, but that was just like, that was the standard. And it wasn't even like I don't know. The pressure didn't feel overwhelming. It was just like, no, we're going to do this. And so it was.
Remember, I don't know if I've ever told you this, and Austin knows me like as well as anyone, probably better than most people, because we've spent a lot of time yapping together over the years and going to Europe and all that. But
what are you talking about?
Long story short, I remember I'm not like, I've actually become way more emotional since I've become coaching. Like I tear up a lot easier. I feel a lot more, I think. But when I was 21 or 22, I didn't do that. Um, but I remember like having like a golf ball in my throat after the team huddle because like we did a stride back to our box, and like I remember like no matter what was going, I was silent. For me, it was just silent, and I had this golf ball in my throat of like, we're gonna fucking do this. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. But it was this like, it was like one of the few times like I like almost teared up in the huddle because I could feel it, and I got the golf ball in my throat as I was doing a stride back to the line. And I just remember like we went out there and it was like you couldn't shake us. Like
Yeah.
my leg buckled at 2K because we were running so hard, and I was like, "This is gonna be a long day, but I'm not. There is not an inch that I'm gonna give today."
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite stories and one of my favorite memories because I think it was like one of those times where like backs against the wall and we were not going to let each other down. We were not going to let Arkansas down, but we were not going to let each other down.
Yeah, no, that's powerful, and like that's something that I believe made us good as a team and just made us like better individually. But like I shared this morning, like I've never run harder. I'll never run harder than cross country, or just when it's a team on the line, because I know those other guys are going to battle for me, and it's way bigger than me. And I think there's a lot of lessons in there about making things you do in life about something more than you. And so it was what a day that was for sure. But you mentioned Europe, and I know we've passed an hour here. I would say that I feel like our friendship like got stronger certainly in Europe, and like you were definitely like solidified as one of my best friends there, because we spent like a month together traveling Europe, and you and I went to 6 countries, I believe, because I went to Ireland by myself at the end. But do you have any favorite memories from? I guess I'll give it more context. So we finished.
Well, to start, it was like for an entire year, our 5th year, Austin like just like kept pushing Eurosend. And it was like Eurosend,
That's funny. I forgot it was called Eurosend.
And he just pushed it, and it was like, who on the team was going to go to Europe with Austin because Austin was going?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, like I got nothing to do. There's a lot of funny stories that went into that trip, but I also accepted the job to Georgetown as I was getting on a plane to be out of the United States for a month and had nowhere to live and was moving to DC when we got back.
Oh man, that's crazy. Well, here, let me cue it up a little bit though, because I was always that year I was like, I want to go to Europe and I want to do some races, because that was a thing that people did like on the pro circuit or post college season. And I was like, it'd be cool I'd never been to Europe, and also it'd be cool to race over there. But also, and I would recommend this to anybody. It doesn't have to be a month or 2 months. Like I was there for 2 months. It's probably too long. I don't know. Some people go for longer and love it.
You were there 2 weeks after I left.
I left on July 1st and I came back on like August 27th or something. So I was gone for a long time. But
I was planning to run because I was like, I'll race a little bit, like whatever. We had like kind of kicked off the trip with like a premature trip to Music City in Nashville, and I paced some high school races, and my foot was jacked up. It was not pretty, but I was like, I'll keep racing, and I was like, I'll even run a 10K on the track, like which I had never done. But I've told people, and I've told a lot of people this, like that trip, like there's a lot of stories from that trip, and we have some really good ones that I want to talk about. But I think it was like the more fun part was that we picked cities we wanted to go to, but we didn't plan anything.
No,
we just like we're like, hey, we're gonna be in Paris these 4 days, and then we have a flight to Belgium or a train to somewhere, and like we didn't make plans, but we planned that we were gonna be in cities for a certain amount of days, and like it was just like it led us to like the most amazing, like hilarious stories, and I don't even know which ones to start with because there were so many.
And I would say
because we started actually we flew to London, right?
We
flew to London, and shout out the Georges again. Alex and Tom. They picked us up in London, and we went to Gloucester, where they're from, and spent
like a week.
a week there.
Yeah.
Shout out Harry Potter and the Gloucester Cathedral.
Yep.
Then
I raced. So I ended up doing the 10. I was starting with a 10K, and then I had races down the line. But I just want to say real quick, like, I absolutely recommend taking a Euro trip, especially if you're younger or you don't have, or just get out of the country. Go somewhere else for a couple weeks at least. And like, if you're younger, you have nothing tying you down, especially if you can like crash with friends or live in or just go to a hostel. Like, I think that's super cool and valuable to experience different culture. But I wouldn't recommend what we did, which was like do like no research about the places we were going, because we got in trouble quite a few times, not intentionally, but like what Kyle said, I think it was awesome that we didn't like fully plan. Like, we knew we wanted to go to the Louvre. We knew we wanted to like, see a couple things in London or Brussels or whatever. We wanted to go to Austria, but we weren't like, oh, here's our itinerary. We didn't sit down and plan our itinerary every day. I think it was awesome that we kind of just like, hey, we're here. What should we do tomorrow? And
like really didn't research anything about like the places we booked, which was like a whole other like piece of this trip that was entertaining.
Oh my gosh.
Should we go with our favorite couple of Euros? Like, you give them a couple of your ones that you think of, and then I'll go from there.
Yeah. So I guess just to give like a quick 3,000 foot view, and then we'll go down. I raced that first race, 10K on the track, and then I ended up like a week later. I was still trying to run because I had 3 more races on the schedule for the summer, and it was a bad idea too to like.
Your hamstring was messed up.
Yeah, my hamstring was so messed up going over too. So I probably shouldn't have even raced the first time, but it was a bad idea to try to go over and do high performance racing with, literally having no idea what we were doing half the time. But finally a week later, we were running in Brussels, and my knee blew up because of my hamstring. I tried to see a physio. Anyway, decided to shut it down. Best decision, because I got to enjoy being in Europe. But
my foot like shattered after Music City. It was like a golf ball. I don't know. I still don't know what it was. I don't think I broke anything, but I did something to the tendons. It was like golf ball purple.
Man, that's good.
I was like, yeah, let's keep running through Europe. Have a run with Austin.
Yeah,
I shut down the racing.
Yeah, no, but it was nice to still like run occasionally, but it was way nicer. Yeah, to not have to worry about racing. But Kyle Hosting was also with us for the first 2 weeks, and yeah, we stayed the first week in London, and then we went. Yeah, I'll just give a overview of everywhere that the Kyles and Kyle and I went. We then went to Paris. We went to saw the Tour de France in Reims. We then went to took a bus to Brussels, Belgium. We went to Bruges, and I think it was just Bruges, right? And Ghent, yep. And then
I ran into a high school friend of mine, remember?
Yes, that was like, crazy.
So randomly, I ran into a high school friend in Belgium. It was so high school teammate.
Yeah, that's unreal. And then we lost Kyle Hosting, and Kyle and I then went to Germany, where we went to Stuttgart and Cologne, and then Munich. Popped over to Austria for a day, which is probably a story that day.
Well, on the Germany note, though, and on the planning and the Germany note, no shade to Stuttgart, Germany, but why we didn't research Stuttgart, Germany before we're like, yeah, we're gonna go to Stuttgart for a day. Like, there is nothing there. It is the most working class city, and it's a beautiful city.
We went to the Porsche Museum.
Wasn't that somewhere? I don't know. Was that in?
No, that was in Stuttgart. Yeah, but that was like the only thing to do.
We were like, yeah, the Porsche and Mercedes Museum. Well, there was no reason to go to Stuttgart.
Yeah, I don't know why we did it either. But then, we went back to Munich, and then we went to Amsterdam, and Kyle and I ended in Amsterdam. I then went to Ireland for a couple weeks, and Kyle came back and just started his job like the next day, which is crazy. But I think in terms of,
I had to do the 19-hour drive from Fayetteville to DC.
Oh my gosh!
And pack my yes.
I think in thinking of stories to share, man, there's so many we could fill an hour, but
Should we start with some of our housing adventures?
yeah, I mean,
Well, there's the night we almost got robbed in France.
yeah, we had some kids making their way toward us, and we kind of frantically.
It was not like they weren't like coming over to say hello, and we
No,
could not figure out the door code, and we had the. If any of you don't know Austin well, this man is the biggest overpacker I've ever met. Has been. Like, the suitcases in college were absurd, but the Europe suitcases were even more absurd.
gotta have the recovery. Well, yeah,
It was like
modalities.
it was everything, but we were all overpacked, like all of us.
Yeah, for sure.
And to give you a break there, you did pack to race, and like you packed every pair of running footwear that you didn't end up needing.
Yeah. So I should have just like left that.
But there was that night, but then there was really one of my favorite like didn't think anything through stories is so we decided one of the days in Paris that we wanted to go see the Tour de France, and that was actually something we did research.
Yeah. Which is worth it, by the way. You
worth
should do
it,
that.
really cool, but go to a start point. Like, go to the start so you can see the festival and all that.
Yeah.
So we took a train out to Reims, which is one of the two like big champagne regions in France. And we stayed in this like little Airbnb that was like nice family, whatever. It was great. And then the next night we had to move to we went back to Paris after we went to Reims and saw the tour. We went back and we had to get a different Airbnb, but we wanted to go to Versailles. So we got an
I've forgotten about these, man.
So I booked this Airbnb that was advertised as a 2-bed one, like it was advertised as a 2-bedroom apartment, or at least like a studio with a pull-out couch.
Yeah.
And we get in this taxi, and the taxi was like arguing with me or all of us or whatever about like the location. He was like, I don't think that's a location. And we were like, no, like it's on the Airbnb, like here it is. And he was like, here's the location. And he dropped us off basically like outside a garage on like a nice street. It wasn't bad, but it was dark. And that was after we spent, God, I'm remembering things as well.
Oh yeah.
We spent like 14 hours in the Louvre and we could not find our way out.
Okay, yeah.
And we were so tired.
I got to give context that day. It will always be the longest day of my life because we came back from Reims so we went from Reims that morning. Both Kyles were, well, I think this Kyle was also still injured and the other Kyle was just tired. So I ran 8 miles by myself in Reims for some reason. I don't know why I was continuing to run. But we then walked. We thought we could get a taxi to the train station, and all the taxis for some reason were not.
I don't remember this.
The taxis were not. None of them were in session. Sorry, someone's drag racing there in the corner. None of them were in session. They were just driving by. The red was on top. So we walked like 2 miles to the train station, pulling our suitcases.
Oh my gosh, we did.
Yeah, so we walked the train station. Take the train back into Paris, and we stored our bags, and we were like, we have tickets to the Louvre today, which, yeah, you need to book your tickets to the Louvre ahead of time, by the way.
We also had to delay our day going to the Louvre and make our travel day more complicated because we didn't look that up.
Yeah, because we planned on going to the Louvre a couple days before, but we were like, okay, we're going to go from Reims, we're going to pop into Paris, and then we're going to go to Versailles that night because we were hoping to go to Versailles the next day. And we ended up not being able to go in because we didn't book tickets. So please look up tickets. We went around Versailles. It was cool. But anyway,
But also will help you plan because it was epic.
We go into the Louvre, and the Louvre's awesome. Like, you should definitely go to the Louvre. But we literally were there like 5 hours, and we were like, okay.
Well, I remember this because host and I were like, all right, I need to be done. Like, we gotta go. The Mona Lisa is like the size of like a 8x11, and they're like more than like 200 people. We're like, this is insane.
Oh my gosh, hilarious!
Gotta get out of here. And you were like, I need to see this cross.
Yeah, it was Jesus. It was wooden Jesus. It was really famous, and it was like displayed in the pamphlet. I was like, we should go see him, and it took us a long time to find him. And yeah, this is hour 5 going on hour 6 in the Louvre, and we finally found him. And then we like could not get out of the Louvre And
to save our lives, we could not find an exit.
And it was like I was leading us for some reason, but it was like the only time I've ever been upset with Kyle hosting, because Kyle was like, "You're leading us in circles," and I was like, "All right, fine, you lead us then, Kyle."
And at this point, I was like, I just get me out of, like, I need to see the outside.
Oh my gosh!
And
we somehow found our way out.
we did find our way out. We got back on the train.
Well, hang on. We on our way. So then we just at this point we've walked, Lord knows how much.
We walked 14 miles that day. I remember it specifically.
Well, and I ran 8 miles that morning too. So we walked. Yeah. So my day was run 8 miles, walk two-ish miles to the train station, walk from the train station to the Louvre, which was another who knows how much, walk around the Louvre all day. And then we decided to just walk back to the train station from the Louvre. But on our way, we stopped and got dinner. And I remember I knocked this guy's water onto his lap, some French guy eating alone at this like burger place. And I felt so terrible, but I was like disoriented from being so tired. But we get to the train. We get our bags. We go out to Versailles, and yes, this Airbnb where this we thought about just walking to the Airbnb, but I was so tired.
And if you know anything about me, like I am the first person to be like, screw it, let's call an Uber, or like I'm not. Actually,
but you were game. You and Kyle were game to walk, and I sat down, and we have a really funny photo, which maybe I can put as our. But I literally I'd given up. I'm like, I'm not walking 2 more miles.
Wait. We get to this Airbnb, and I was like, I'll call the girl. Like, I'll call the host, and she was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, I don't have Wi-Fi. I'm using on like roaming data. I'm down the hill." She's like, "Oh, you got to walk up this path," and I was like, okay, we're walking up this path, and like you just sat down and you're like, I'm done. And you just laid down on your suitcase on the corner of the street. And we finally, I think we got a taxi.
Well, I said I was done, and then we taxied or Ubered to her place, and yeah, that's when you called her, I believe, and then yeah, we finally had to walk up the driveway. But do you want to describe when we entered what this place was like?
So we enter, and think of like a 2-bedroom condo, but it was like kind of old and rickety, and it kind of looked like, I don't know, the apartment complex was interesting. And we were like, where are we? Why are we going into some lady's apartment? We walk in. There is a curtain, like a bed sheet. It was like a bed sheet hanging between like the hallway and so think you walk into like a narrow hallway, and you walk down the hallway, and on the right there's a bed sheet hanging, and on the left there's a bedroom with a queen bed and a mat on the floor. And that was our studio apartment.
That was our 2-bed.
And as we're walking basically past this curtain, this animal, it must have been a large like German Shepherd like dog,
and the silhouette of like a large dude in a chair. We're there.
Yeah, there was a man that I don't know if we ever saw him.
We never saw the man.
We never saw him, but this dog charged at us, and we were like, what is going on? And she was probably equally shook that there were like 3 23-year-olds like, hey,
like,
we're here.
All over 6 foot, like just the loudest Americans you could ever come across.
And then like, not to get grim here, but like, remember the next morning, it was like, we were worried about like them like, I was like, are they yelling at each other? Are they fighting? Is it this like a...
Yeah.
It was not a good... It was funny the first night, and then the second night it was a little off. Or the second morning was a little off.
It wasn't a good... I mean, and we
ran to Versailles. Remember we ran?
We got up. I think I slept on the mat. I literally was like, I'm done.
We all slept in the bed together. The 3 of us slept in the bed together.
Are you sure? I remember like falling asleep on the mat. I remember just like laying down on the mat.
There was one place we stayed where we all slept in the bed. The 3 of us together.
Oh my gosh. I don't even... This is hilarious. I don't even know. But we got up the next morning, and we decided to run to Versailles because why not?
But we didn't want to pay for a taxi.
Yeah, because we wheeled our bags around so much, and we did not. We also got screwed for a couple times, two separate times. We definitely like paid more for a taxi than we should have. Because they just be careful because they'll take advantage of you. But we ran to Versailles and we were like, we'd like to go inside. And they were like, you cannot because
you can go run around the gardens.
Yeah, you need a ticket, which the Versailles Gardens are sick, which I think you need. Karen and I went last summer. You need a ticket to even get into the gardens now because we didn't.
We went for a run and we used that as, we're going for a run through the gardens, and we got in for free.
Yeah, you have to pay now, but it's so worth it to go.
Stunning.
Into Versailles, into the Versailles building. Finally went in the building. It was sweet, but the gardens too. But yeah, that was a crazy couple days. And
should we do 2 more? Oh,
just 2 more.
Oh, 2 or 3 more. Let's do 2 or 3 more Euro highlights.
Oh my gosh. And so, yeah, like I think the Belgium one is funny. Like just that, not only us getting apprehended twice, but then also ending up at the apartment that we ended up in.
But remember, they pulled out the handcuffs. But the short story is, again, Europe advice here from average travelers. You have, like, unlike the United States, and I didn't know this at the time. I'd only ever traveled to Canada, but you have to validate your bus ticket. You buy the bus ticket, and then you validate your bus ticket when you get on, and then like they come through and they check your ticket was validated so they can tell what stop you got on in. But we like did not care to read anything.
Yep.
So we're like, oh, we have bus tickets, and we got on, and they came to do a check, and we hadn't validated our tickets. So they pulled us off the bus, and 2 of the cops pulled out their handcuffs.
Yeah.
And they were trying to take us in for like free riding.
And they asked us how much money we had on us.
They did. And at the same time, I was really stressed out because the Airbnb we were trying to get to was like on me. If we didn't arrive in like a 5-minute window, they weren't going to like let us in or something. And we were like, no, we got to go. Like, like you got to let us go. Like we have somewhere to be.
Oh my gosh.
And then we got to this Airbnb.
Well, let me add some more context because 30 minutes before we were apprehended literally 30 minutes before we were like Kyle Hosting's last day was in Brussels. He stayed with us for 2 weeks and we like went downtown. I forget specifically what we did, but we were checking out of a hostel and Kyle and I said goodbye to Kyle Hosting. And, but before that, on our way to the hostel, it was my decision. I take full fault. We went in the subway and all the gates were open and the lights were green. So I was like, oh, it must be free today.
It's like free on the weekend.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, we're not going to spend €2 or whatever if it's free on the weekend. Of course, we didn't look it up or do anything about it. We got on the subway, got off at our stop. And at the top of the escalator, there were tons of cops. And we just lied through our teeth. We were like, oh, we bought our tickets, threw it away. And they were like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They got our information, but just made us buy tickets. And then we were on our way. So we were like, okay, say goodbye to Kyle Hosting. He got his stuff. He took the subway to the airport. And then literally we got our stuff and we walked to the bus stop and we got on the bus. I don't remember buying tickets before. I thought that you like went and bought them from the driver. We might have, but either way, we did it incorrectly and we were apprehended. And this time they were like, do you have money? Yeah, they had handcuffs and like, but this time we were telling the truth. We were like, hey, we're trying to be on this bus.
They wanted like, they were like, however much cash you have, we'll let you off for us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But they ended up writing us. This guy was like, here is your souvenir, American. And yeah, that was literally within a 30-minute time span.
They gave us tickets. I wish I still had it.
Yeah, no, I have it. But we then go to our Airbnb. So we make it there. And it's in, Brussels apartment complex, like the skinniest stairs of all time.
Think like New York City apartment. Like if you've ever been to Manhattan and you've been into an apartment in Manhattan that has like old staircases or old stairwells and no elevator and kind of shitty lighting. Like think like Manhattan like apartment.
Brutal. Yeah. And we're lugging our suitcases up the stairs and we get into this like literally top floor, 4th floor, I think, apartment complex, and the couple greets us, and they're very nice, and they lead us to this. Well, first you take a quick snapshot of the home, the apartment, and it was disgusting. It was probably the dirtiest place I've ever been,
and like the whole staircase was completely pitch black, and we were like lugging. Again, if you're in the running world and you know what like the Nike team suitcases look like, we were lugging these like giant Nike team suitcases that we had from college, like up a stairwell that I was just trying not to fall backwards, but I also couldn't see anything.
Yeah, and The apartment's disgusting. We go into our room that we rented, and we saw like they were beds that were it was like a sponge material that was what
Looked like
we
a
laid
Mr.
on.
Clean pad,
It
like a
was
lifestyle, like a body size Mr. Clean
yeah,
eraser.
it was like yellow too, and I don't think we ever got sheets or blanket. I don't remember we asked for them, and like the pillow was the same, and the couple was very nice, but yeah,
They had the scariest house rules though. Remember, it was like you couldn't like make a noise after 9 p.m. and you couldn't use the bathroom because we shared a bathroom with them, but like we couldn't use it as like. Do you remember there were the crazy? I want to pull my Airbnb app and
yeah.
find it.
I remember I should have left them a worse review, but I gave them like 3 stars. I should have given them 1 star because like what we got versus what we paid for, and like I remember there was like a devil photo on the wall or for like a concert or something. But once again, very nice people. Disgusting bathroom, house, kitchen, like terrible. I think they had a cat too, and I'm allergic to cats. So we just were, yeah, we tried to be out there. The funny wrinkle too is like I was taking my finals for my grad school
Yeah,
at this place. I tried to take it at a cafe because I was like, I don't want to be in this scary, disgusting place that we were at. And
great coffee shops in Brussels. Like
yes,
Brussels has some cool,
oh man,
cool coffee shops, and we spent like one day. You like we like planned it into the trip for you to have like a couple study days.
it was nice. But I got on Proctor U for those that know. You take tests remotely, and they're like, you can't be in a private place. And I was like, oh my gosh! So I had to take my final from the class I was in. I don't even remember it in this awful place. But that was just like the secession of that was crazy. Which reminds me, I mean, Amsterdam. I don't know if we don't have to tell the Amsterdam story, but
We need to tell the Salzburg story.
oh my gosh, yeah, we need to.
I'll this will be my last story, and then Austin can go with whatever his last European story is. But so we are at this point.
Yeah, you got to give the Munich context because I wanted chicken
Wings. I
wings.
was about
Yeah,
to say.
okay.
I was going to say we're about 3.5 weeks or week 3, and like Austin and I, if you know us both, like both of us are admitted foodies, and I will spend. I have no shame. Like I will spend money on food if it's good food. Like
Oh yeah,
count me in. Good restaurants. I don't care what the bill is. Let's go eat good food.
my cousin Ryan says, I don't care how big my house is. I don't care how nice my car is. If I'm eating good, then I'm doing good.
Expensive hobby, but both of us definitely share that. But we were craving like something American, to be honest. Austin was semi hyper fixated on chicken wings.
Oh my god!
Like we went on a mission for these damn wings, and Austin found
Munich, Germany.
Munich, or was it Stuttgart?
It was Munich.
It was Munich. Okay, in Munich, he found a Irish pub that had wings on the menu, and I was like, "Yeah, man, like we'll get you these wings. Like I don't really need them, but like I'm gonna humor you because I understand. Like I get it. I was craving like I think something else similar, but not wings. I was like, can we just get burgers or
Yeah.
So we get these wings, and like they were fine. And we we eat them. We had a good night. The ranch was disgusting. I remember the ranch being disgusting, and
Not American Ranch.
Not American Ranch. And we go to the hostel that night, and like we were staying in a hostel in Munich, and had a pretty normal night. And like I woke up the next morning, we were getting ready to take the train to Austria, and Austin was like, I was up all night. I almost went to the hospital. I don't feel good. Like I remember, I think you called your dad.
Yeah,
and
I'll jump in real quick. Yeah, we were in a massive hostel room, and yeah, just the worst food poisoning of my life. I'm really glad that you didn't get it, Kyle. But yeah, I was just every 15 minutes going to the bathroom, like violent throw up. For some reason I remember like all these kids playing in the hallway in like the middle of the night, but I was definitely like,
and we were in a room with these kids from Spain that just partied till like 4 a.m.
oh man,
and we had to lock our suitcases in these cages.
And I felt so bad because I was like, I'm waking these people up because I just keep coming in and out. And I have a photo on my phone. I was sitting on the like literally the washing machine because I was just tired of going back to the room and forth every 15 minutes. And I was like, I'm gonna FaceTime my dad and see what he thinks. I was literally looking up emergency rooms because I just felt that bad. But yeah, anyway, I didn't really sleep at all that night, and we had tickets to go to Austria for one day, Salzburg, and it was only that day. And to Kyle, I was like, I told Kyle that I was up all night, and Kyle was like, "We don't have to go to Austria," and I was like, "No, we have to go."
If you
And
know
so
Austin, and especially college Austin, it was like very you and like, no, like I'll be fine. Like I got this. Like I'll pull it together.
yeah,
I don't want to like we have to do it. We planned it. Yada yada.
It might be our only time to go to
Yeah.
Austria in our life. But sorry, yeah, you
Really
take over.
glad we went because there's a few places in my life that I've gone where like my jaw has hit the floor at how beautiful it is.
Beautiful.
Salzburg is one. Zion is probably the other one that like really hit me. And aside there, but we get to Salzburg and we're going through like it's basically like straight up like it's a movie. Like it's so beautiful. We're going and we wanted to go up to the big castle in Salzburg, and obviously
Second biggest castle in Europe.
Yep. And we were touring this castle, and I was like, I wasn't walking that fast, but you were struggling. Like you were struggling to get around, and there was this cool restaurant at there, and like I was like, we're in Germany. Like I'm getting a beer and a pretzel, and like I'm looking at the Austrian Alps. This is freaking amazing. Like I have this cool picture of like me holding a beer and a pretzel up, and like took a picture of the beer and the pretzel in the Alps. Very classic Instagrammy.
And I just like put
and
my
he was
head
sleeping
down
on the table.
Yeah, I was just like, this is sick, but I literally like, can't keep my eyes open.
And then we went down after that. We went down through like the town and whatever. We found this graveyard in this like cool little like entertainment bar area district.
Yeah, there's just like a graveyard square, like it
Probably
probably
like a town square that was a graveyard.
Yeah, like it feels like the city built around the graveyard. Super old graveyard, but yeah, sorry.
Cool though. It was weird but cool.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just gonna like take a nap on this bench. And you're like, you go like come back in like an hour. And I was like, Austin, we're in like the middle of like Salzburg. Like, you're just gonna sleep on a bench? And he was like, no, like I'm good. Like you'll come back in like an hour or two for me. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really know what to do. So I walked around a little bit. I was kind of hungry and like wandered around, and I ended up sitting down at a like an outdoor bar kind of situation and talking to this. I was like, this is my chance to like really go full solo rogue and just like talk to random people. So I sat down and like had a couple drinks and met this group of people. And I remember talking to there was like two guys and a girl, and they were like close in age to us. But one of the girls ended up being from like, she was very American, spoke really good English. I remember her telling me that college costed $500 a semester in Austria.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, we pay that in books, but cool.
Yeah.
Ended up, she was from like 10 minutes from where I grew up, and had moved to Austria when she was younger because her dad got a job there. But I like met this girl that grew up basically 10 minutes south of where I grew up, and crazy. All her friends who were Australian. And I just like sat and met random people. And then you texted me and like, where are you? And I was like, here's where I am. And you just like appeared. And I was like, how was your nap?
Like, yeah, it was a couple hours. Yeah, it was a couple hours. Yeah.
So yeah, that was man, that was a good day.
We went, then we went back to Munich, and we went to the Hofbrauhaus, which is like the most famous place in Munich. They have the giant beers, and I remember I had like some watermelon earlier that day. I remember I had a little bit of coffee, but the first food I had that entire day, I like drank 1/9 of this beer, and then I had like a sausage and some bread, and I was like, today is over. It was a cool place, a cool experience, but I was like not
I was
ready.
Overstimulated by the amount of people in that place.
Oh, it was crazy.
You should do it, but do it when you've got some people energy left.
Yeah,
because it was a lot. Just
long tables as far as I can see, a million people running around, and it's worth it, and it's like really historic. But that was a super long day too. So yeah, be careful about where you eat also.
We've really shifted tone here, and
yeah,
you listen to the first or second half of this.
I know. Yeah, I can
enjoy it.
Tell people when we switch. Hopefully, people. Yeah, if you're still listening, thank you. But
how long have we been going? at least an hour and a half.
Hour and a half, yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
this has
We
2
could
hours.
keep going.
Oh, easily. But yeah, I can talk
Hit
about
one more Euro.
I can talk about Amsterdam. Like when we got to Amsterdam, and then the second day, some highlights. But when we got to Amsterdam, it was like 100 degrees, and we were walking. Of course, we were wheeling our suitcases to the Airbnb, and
We were basically with our suitcases in public more than we were in public without them.
Oh my gosh, just wheeling these things. We're cheap, and we don't have a lot of money. Like
that suitcase is still like in that closet. I still use it.
That's hilarious.
Now with my coaching career, I have every Nike suitcase size, and that's my mid. I have a big one, a little one, and the one from college that we rolled around Europe.
That's hilarious. Mine got totally destroyed, but yeah, we got to Amsterdam because we came from Munich to Amsterdam, right? Yeah, I think we went.
We took a bus.
Did we go Munich to Amsterdam bus?
We took a bus to Dusseldorf, and then a different bus from Dusseldorf through like Dutch horse country.
Really?
And then got dropped off. And remember, we got dropped off in the train station, but it was like the bus train station, and we walked to that
the coffee shop. That's
yeah.
That's where I was gonna go. So the coffee shop. I mean, and it was like an old theater, and we just like looked up. It was
and it was actually a coffee shop, not like a Amsterdam coffee shop. If you've been to Amsterdam and know what that means,
and that's the second part of that'll be the second part of the story. But yeah, we just like looked it up. It was the afternoon. We're like, oh, we could use some coffee to get through the day, and we just kind of on our way to the Airbnb, we like looked up one, which Kyle's phone was the only one that had service, and mine didn't. So that was also that will maybe come into play later. But yeah, we just stumbled into this place. It was a old theater, and we each got. I think it was iced coffee. It was cold brew, probably.
Yeah, I think it was just we just got regular cold brews.
And that coffee, I'll never feel the same.
No, I've never been.
No, I've never been more locked in my life.
I kind of felt like I had a drink from it. Like it was the strongest caffeine. Within like minutes of it hitting my system, I was like, I gotta go for a run just to like sleep for 2 days. Like
it was unreal.
It was so caffeinated.
Yeah, it felt like it was drugged, but like I've never felt. And I had drank coffee for years up to that point, and since I've never felt so like locked in, and like this caffeine high just like hit me perfectly, and I was just like stoked, and like it felt like I had all the answers, like everything fell into line in front of me. It doesn't make sense, but I was like, oh my gosh. And I think it was a combo of probably super strong caffeine, and we were like really sweaty. It was 100 degrees outside, dehydrated, and we ended up getting a second one, and I was just like freaking buzzing. So
I don't remember having the second one.
Yeah, we got two because it was really good too. It was super good, and it might have been drugged, but from there we walked to our Airbnb, and and it's a nice Airbnb. It's Kyle's last stop on the trip. You know, before reality hits, we're like, okay, we're finally gonna stay at a nice place. Like as we've mentioned a couple of places, basically everywhere we stayed, but the Georges was at least a little sketchy, if not really sketchy. And so our last place, we're finally, paying a little bit more. And so we're excited about that. And we go in, there's like some drinks in the fridge, and I like pour myself some juice, and I'm going around the Airbnb still on this like caffeine high, and I'm opening up all the windows, and one of the windows had a wooden block above it, and that is used to like shut the window.
Any of this.
And it fell on my it fell on my hand that I had the glass and the juice in, and the glass exploded all over my body.
Oh, I do remember that.
Because you might have on the way gotten a substance to slow down your processing ability, but I all of a sudden was just, and I still have the big scar on my leg. I was like bleeding profusely, and I was like, Kyle, help! And I was bleeding all over the place. And thank God it didn't, because like this Airbnb was super nice, and white sheets, white pillows. Thankfully, it didn't get on anywhere, but there was blood and glass all over the ground. And I was like I like went to the kitchen first, and then I was like, Kyle, can you help me? And then I like realized I was dripping blood everywhere. So I went to the bathroom, and yeah, it was like a total mess. And you were helping me, but you were like kind of half helping me. You're like, it's not that big a deal. And you just kind of like half swept the stuff. And I was like, no, there's glass and blood everywhere. And yeah, I finally like patched myself up. But yeah, if you've ever been cut by glass, then you know that, yeah, it can be pretty profuse. But then yeah, Kyle like half cleaned up, and then I I fully cleaned it up. And then finally, like we were like, okay, we need to just like go get dinner and go to sleep. Like
Yeah.
at that point, we had like made so many
I do remember we
mistakes.
went to this
Mexican place.
this Mexican place, and it was the first time in like a month that we were somewhere that kind of felt a little American. And I remember being like, Austin, this kind of feels like Portland, and I needed this. Like it
Yeah.
felt like a kind of like a taco place in Portland. Like there were these. It was just very Portland. The neighborhood we were in is like very neighborhood Portland. Good Mexican food, and we just like kind of had this moment where we're like, wow, it just feels like a little familiar and a little calm.
Yeah. No, it was, yeah. So we finally, yeah, I was just like, all right, we just need to do that and go to bed. And then I think it was the next day that we
Went to Anne Frank.
We did Anne Frank. We got pancakes after. We went to the Guinness factory.
Heineken.
Or sorry, Heineken. Thank you. Heineken tour. And then we decided, should I tell the story?
Remember we made friends with the people from Brazil?
Yeah, in the Heineken factory.
In the Heineken factory.
Yeah.
We made friends with this like group of guys that were our age from Brazil. And I will say like that was us in our like month of between life, and so I kind of flew back to the US, went to Arkansas, packed my life up, and like kind of that was the start of my coaching career. Like a couple weeks later, like I drove and moved back to the East Coast, and but it was like this like month of like no obligations, nobody expects us to do anything.
Yeah.
We are just out here jobless and just graduated from college, barely any money,
Yeah.
but had like the best month of our life. And you're like texting me like the next 3 weeks and like giving me updates, and we were still talking all the time. And our group chat with Kyle is still the Old Man's Euro Tour.
Yeah.
And like we still talk all the time in it, but I was like, dude, you're like in Ireland. Like I started a job. Like I moved out of Fayetteville.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Host had moved. I think he moved from Ohio that year to South Carolina, and
yeah, he started
to live with Lydia, and then they got married the next year. It was like we had this month of like nobody was in control of us, and we weren't in control of ourselves. And then we went like started real life when we got back from that trip.
Yeah, no, it was cool, and I would recommend it to anyone. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily cheap, but it was really cool to not have to worry about a job or as runners too, like so much of and my life still is like, oh, almost every week of the year I'm worried about needing to run, needing to work out, lift, sleep, eat right, get all these things done, and it was definitely like a breath of fresh air to just be like, I'm just going to be a regular human and explore and see different cultures and people and things. And there were way more things that went right than went wrong, and like so many good memories too. But like us messing up or like having weird situations are always the more entertaining stories. But
I think all of this makes me want to go on like a trip now that we're a little bit older. Like a grown-up Europe trip, let's say, or somewhere. But I think it too. I just thought of this as we were kind of talking about the looseness of it and going back to like this podcast has taken a lot of doing a lot of roads here, but going back to like a little bit of coaching and just kind of like the mindset piece. Like I think that you have those times in your life where you let loose and you have a little bit of fun and you're in transition, and it's good, and you need that in your day-to-day, but you need it in your long term. Like you need transitions in your life. But it like the older I get now, I'm like, man, like that discipline of working towards something. Like we were talking about, like I was talking about a little bit how I don't really run as much anymore, but I've started lifting and doing like a little bit more stuff that I see that kind of progress. But I don't think if you have those times of like kind of like let loose and be free in your life, that you can actually like be in like enjoy the discipline and the mundaneness of like living a wholesome and healthy lifestyle. And whether that's in sports or whether that's in your day-to-day life,
for sure,
whatever that is, but like you need those times. And I just like think of that about how like fun that was to wrap up a chapter. But we also all started a new chapter after that. Well, host had a job for a year.
Yeah.
We like pulled him out of a job to do this.
No, I think he, yeah. Did he?
He was living in Ohio.
Yeah, he was. He just
He was
came.
working for Honda.
Yeah, because he finished in 2018. That's right.
A
That's
year older than
crazy.
us.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it reminds you of like we wrapped up college like that, but it also like opened this other chapter of our lives together when like both of y'all got married and we were, then COVID happened and we were like bouncing around back and forth. We in COVID drove back to Fayetteville and all got together because we
Oh
were like,
my. Yeah.
we got nothing. But it's like these little interludes between seasons of life that we've had that have been really fun.
For sure. No, and there's so much value in, yeah, what you just talked about, and we touched a little earlier, like just value in rest and in being able to take a step back, and then it makes the stuff that we get to do, the stuff that you have to be disciplined for, easier to do and more fun. And I mean, people talk about having discipline is freedom, but you also have to allow yourself running, life, sport, however you frame it, to like be be a human, sleep in. You don't have to exercise for a while, or you don't have to work your job. Like, it's why vacations are such a thing. But like, why I believe like Sabbathing or taking off days is such a huge deal. But yeah, off if you can take
Go to Europe after college.
all that time, yes, or even if it's after college, and if you decide to do the marijuana, just do much less, and you'll be fine. Just have a much better game plan.
Listening to us or a coach watching this, like these are not things that like I would endorse in any capacity for performance.
Nope.
But like I also think it's really like it's important to like not be a robot and not be like none of us are perfect. We all have flaws. We all like, but it's important to like I believe show that like we're also people. You're a person. You're a high performance athlete. Like, but you're also a real person that like has not lived like a robot your entire life. The same for me.
Yeah.
And like
I tried to live like a robot, and it didn't work.
Yes. But that piece of it, like it's important that like we both are very pursuing, we're very focused on what we pursue, but I think it's also important, like I try in my coaching to be a person. Like I try in my life to be real versus like just like a this is a robotic thing that like happens.
Yeah.
And I don't have any flaws. Like I'm not perfect whatsoever, but I hope that like you talk any pro athlete that you talk about, or any like we are all people here first. You're human before you're an athlete. You're not an athlete. You're a person.
Yeah, and you can't control everything, and you can't like expect everything to go perfect. And like even when it comes to eating or running, like if you're doing the right thing 90% of the time, I remember like Buck or other coaches will say like if you do B plus in everything, like you're going to be a really really great athlete. And like that's to say like go eat the ice cream or like have the burger and fries, and don't have it every single day because that's not great for you. But I think to kind of end on that note, like you have to remember to smell the flowers in a podcast that's hopefully motivating and hopefully entertaining. But I think we have a minute and a half left. Last question I ask every guest: what is rapid fire? What is something in your future home that's a quirky feature that you would love to have?
Oh man, that's a good question. I want to have a pizza oven in my kitchen, and I want to have a cold brew tap and a Modelo tap.
Wow, that's great. I love that. Well, dang, that would be sweet thinking about it.
Because I do know someone that put that in their house.
All three of those?
Two of those.
Oh wow, the Modelo and cold brew?
Not Modelo, but it was Coors Light and a pizza oven.
Wow, that's
awesome.
I think
a cold brew tap too would be for me.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Like on the counter.
Yeah.
Like I have a bar, but I have two taps on my counter.
Wow, I love that. Well, Kyle, we are literally running out of time, and so it was an honor.
This was great. We could keep going all day.
Can't believe we sat up here for 2 hours on Kyle's apartment deck. Man, just so grateful for you and time we get to spend, and just excited to continue journeying through this crazy life with you. And so
it's a good time, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. We could yap all day, honestly, but this is great. And we should probably also go get dinner.
Yeah. All right, everybody have a
Great
good
night,
one.
everyone.